Hello, good people of planet Earth. It is I again. And I'm here. I really apologize about my voice, but keeping it real as always. I wanted to kind of run back through some some videos. I promised I'd do other videos on stuff that I didn't touch down on really hardcore. And one of them was about I want to go back into changing one's mind about the relationship that you have with things that are difficult. In particular, most likely, it would be an obsession that you have or an addiction, which can be an array of things, as we must all know, right? It's not just substances. No, freaking substances get so much abuse about, drink like alcohol and stuff because they're actually really the most wonderful of all shitty obsessions because they really when it comes to cause and effect, they really project their effect really fast, whereas like some of these other psychological and other realms of obsession can take, my god, a whole lifetime to manifest the true travesty in the effect of what was to come eventually through them. One of the things I could exemplifize would be like, say you are a person like our good old friend Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, who whole life through just neglects of your family, his family, and really doesn't see the repercussion because of other aspects like his wealth, his success, his control, his supposed control over his environment, that he really didn't experience the full effect of the loss of connection that he had until plenty of years had gone by. Whereas, say you take a drug or you're doing a substance, like let's say alcohol, you're gonna feel those effects within a year, maybe, or less, you know, within, one fucking hard night party, and you're gonna feel those effects. So, one thing that I said in the video is I wanted to talk about how, well, just let's just roll down. My idea is that once you begin to understand that your thoughts, which include the words that you say, because before you say something, you think it, even if it's a split second. And many of us fuck up our lives by trying to over theatrically dramatize things by overthinking what we're going to say before we say it, rather than living in the moment, the now, and intuitively and in the grasp of the moment, saying it, saying our piece, saying our truth. We try and over edit things. We edit them, and editing is best left to writing. Writing is one of those like those things that is actually really can benefit from editing. But and so can a human, so can our words, so can our deeds. But if we over edit the moment, we start to lose touch with really what is there. What is we start to lose touch with not only our relationships with other people, because people, regardless if they know it or not, are really intuitively connected to each other. And so people can feel when you aren't being yourself, right? But not only do we lose connection with other people, we lose connections with ourselves because that's where the ego starts to really flop over and like absorb us, is when we edit too much of who we are by the tool of what we say, right? So when we have a relationship that's like we all do at all times, we all got one obsession or another at all times. It's just the way that we learn. We learn through excess. The path of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. But will the traveler ever arrive? The thing is, you can go into the depths of excess and obsession, and that will teach you the most intimate and difficult, challenging, beautiful, um, thoughtful, intricate lessons that will absolutely bring you a shelf of wisdom. But it can also go the wrong way, which is where the ego absorbs and stuff. But taking it right back, it's like if your relationship to your obsession is a negative one, all you're doing is feeding into a negativity about a piece of yourself that is wanting to be understood, that is begging, that is using your ego as the tool to to get in touch with you about what it is that you need to learn about yourself. Obsession and the excess and any kind of anything that's outside of the mercurial balance of the S in between the black and the white of the yin and the yang. By the way, in another video, I said the yin was the white, or the yin was the black and the yang was the white. It's opposite. The yang is the masculine. The yin, actually, I can't even remember now. But let's just put it at that. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. The black and the white, yin and the yang. Our ego is a great centering tool because once we start to understand what it is that we obsess about, which our ego pushes us toward, not because it's intentionally trying to fuck our lives over, but because it's a built-in tool that we like if we were soldering, if we were all jewelers and we were soldering things into a ring, and the ring had all the elements that we needed particularly to learn and grow. We soldered our ego in because we knew that the ego could move around in that ring, and it would. And if we had the right, like a mochame ring or something, we're pounding different metals together. We knew we wanted to put the ego in because had we not put the ego, we wouldn't. We came from a place of, in my opinion, of balance and purity and levelness, and we came down here into this dense gravitational reality to more fully understand the way that creation works and the way that self-empowerment, like the empowerment of our souls works. And to be able to have empowerment, you've got to have somebody who's going to fight the power. And our egos like to trick us by thinking that they're giving us power, but they're really fighting it. And it's a beautiful little dance. Anyhow, so the way that we talk to ourselves is really important. And the way that you talk to your ego is really important. The way that you talk to your obsessions, which is an aspect of ego trying to get a hold of you by bridging you to your higher self. It's important the way that you talk to it. If you're like, fuck you, ego, I deny you, the ego is going to sit back and laugh a little bit and be like, right? You deny me. Wait till you starve. When you're starving, you're going to come back to me on your fucking hands and knees. And you know that you will. And you can't even know that you will because you can't hear me. Because you're thinking too much about yourself around me, And you will. If you go into any direction, whether it's too much sex or no sex, you're still in a position that you have a bear trap of an ego to deal with. Had you not head first said, I'm going to tell the truth. The truth is, I'm addicted. The truth is, I am kind of grossed out by myself. The truth is, I don't feel good. The truth is, I feel really overly overly, what's that word? Overly, it's the word when you feel overly superior. Either you could feel superior or you could feel inferior. Um, so when you're dealing with an addiction or obsession, you really ought to think about the way that you talk to yourself about that. And in fact, the way that you talk to the thing that you know that you're obsessed with. And sometimes you can't, it's not that you necessarily need to talk directly. Say you have an obsession with brushing your hair 2,500 times in one day. It's not like you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to talk nicely. Nice hair, I brush you once. Nice hair, I brush you twice. You want to say, hey, I understand self and everything, that I have this need and I don't understand the need, but I understand that I have the need. And then you would say something like this, be like, you know what? It feels really good to brush my hair. I like it. And I like a certain amount of times that I brush it and I have to do it. And I don't know why, but I would like to understand. So you're not saying it's okay, like nice hair, nice hair. You're saying this feels good and I'd like to understand why it feels good and why I've become obsessed with it. That's kind of what I mean. Oh gosh, I'm full of really, really terrible examples and I hope you all love them. But at one point, you're brushing your hair and you're thinking, you're like, 350, 351, 352. I don't do this. I totally just made this up. um, and if you pay attention in the moment to a loving example of yourself onto not just the brushing, but onto the ego who feels this need to have a numbered count on it, but then to the higher self and saying, higher self, guide me. Why? Why is it that I feel this need to do this? Like, why is it that I can't get up and start my day without doing this? I'm okay with you being there and doing this now because I know that everything changes. So there's this like loving acceptance of unconditional love that's so important into every kind of aspect of any part of you that you feel ashamed about. Because um, the ultimate need here, or the ultimate antidote, would be to get to the root. And the root of a lot of vibrational problems is that vibrational things start here, lower, just like any kind of scale, and go to higher. You want to go to the middle, so I can't really describe it. Linear is going to really mess it up. But a really low vibe that really hurts people is shame. And on the scales that I've seen, shame is the lowest. And the reason why is because not only is it not like when you feel uh, there's other things where like you feel hatred. You're involving yourself with something outside of you to feel hatred. When you feel shame, it's really you pouring on your projections of what you think people feel about you onto yourself on top of what you already feel about yourself. So it's this real, deep, dense, dark place of double. I want to say in double indemnity, but I don't even know what that means. I know it's a movie. But it's this double force field of your projection, which is a half life itself, and then of what others think about you, and then pouring what you think about what they think about you, plus what you think about you, plus, you involve all that. So if you want to shift that, you've got to first be able to talk to yourself and all the things that involve you, including your perception of what other people think about you. You've got to be able to shift that. So one way is to start talking to yourself. I do that. I'm a Gemini. Works pretty good. But the way that you talk to yourself should be kind. I don't want to say you should talk to yourself in the same way that you talk to others, because you know what? You're never going to talk to other people the way that you talk to yourself. And until you change the way that you talk to yourself or treat yourself, you're not going to treat anybody the way that they should be treated. You should treat people the way that you treat yourself when you fully learned how to treat yourself. So, addictions, be kind to yourself. Give yourself time, baby steps. What about Bob? Baby steps onto the elevator. Baby steps in the elevator. You're in the elevator. It's scary. Baby steps onto the bus. I'm on the bus. Everybody's going to think you're cray cray. It's all right. But the more that you get used to and develop a relationship with yourself, the more you'll understand your habitual problems. And then the problems pretty soon will fall off when you start to understand the aspects of where the problems even stemmed from. And that is totally not what I really wanted to say in this video. But I do like to expand upon my favorite subject, which is healing of our little baby loves for ourselves, because I really want everybody to know that I love y'all. I really do. And the reason why I do is because I felt a lot of pain of non self love and also not love from other people. But that's my responsibility, because that was my perception and also my projection and how I felt about myself projected onto them. And I really like everybody to try and hear my words, because I'd love everybody to feel good. Because once we start feeling good, that's when we start to change the words, we start to change the feelings of things, we start to change the world, because it's all macro, micro, like mirror reflections of each other. And once we start to see ourselves as beautiful in the mirror, we can see everybody else as beautiful. Once we start to accept our faults, we can accept other people's faults. Once we start to realize that we're all connected this way, this is the way that we can change the motherfucking planet. And then the planet itself will give back to us the reflection that we reflect onto it. It's very important. And at 17:05, thank you very much. Much love.